Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John's reports for the 12th of June. And yesterday, well, we got more of that inbound range that we were talking about, but good volatility within it. Didn't quite come down to the ABM yellow here, but still caught within that range. And that's the halfway point between the 76 and 100%. So pretty clean. And we can see here, this was a good indication. We had that pop of the white from the NBI, but it was not corresponding on the NASDAQ, which was much stronger. And sure enough, with magenta still over yellow, it's a point that there was enough shorts that were going to drive things. And sure enough, that's exactly what took place in that situation. And that just it was pretty clean overall. We can see from a shakeout, we're still muddled, but we're still rising with red DOC and green. Nothing too special there. The shakeout is pretty blah as well. So this shows some of that mix that's really existing right now. We are positive on the shakeout, so that's at least helpful. But a breakdown below zero at this particular point would definitely be a negative and certainly get us back to at least the 76%, if not more. We had a real strong move from Apple, which really propelled the NASDAQ. And you can see a big difference between the two readings and the corresponding effect, certainly much clearer as the NASDAQ punched out well into the highs without any difficulties whatsoever, and continues to have that rising blue versus the gray line right here, and that was the same on the S&P. So, I mean, those were all congruent for it. It was just a question of whether or not we were going to see any deterioration in the NASDAQ. And of course, you know, the rate hopes, everyone still thinking that the Fed's got to cut, but no. I mean, what? Is so out of alignment with the reality that you know, you got to wonder what's going on with some of these bond traders at this particular stage. They're just in a world of hurt in all sorts of different directions. But that is what it is. And from the oil standpoint, all bad news, because as oil climbs back up into this middle range, any relief that was potentially existing died with that really fast. So now you're going to have the potential for rising inflation going into the later part of the year. If this continues, it'll be really bad news, and the Fed will have zero opportunity to make any adjustment whatsoever. You know, this was their only hope to see oil prices plummet. The euro, of course, cutting rates into their situation. They don't have a choice, though. Their banks are completely bankrupt. In the U.S., you're seeing a lot of institutions that have trouble as well because they're all holding onto these treasuries that were back at pandemic era. And what are they going to do with them? They're allowed right now to market them as full value, but they really don't represent even remotely close to that value. And so they're huge unwritten losses sitting on those. And the idea is that, well, we'll lower rates back enough and that they'll, you know, bring them back up to parity, and that will help your, no. Nice dream. And gold is going to probably mimic what we see from oil. Didn't quite get that from a crypto standpoint. They suffered a little bit of pullback within normal range here, right back to 50%, bounced right off that. So that normal back and forth, but within a soft period here, the reading's pretty clean on that one as far as it being a little weak. ETH likewise after, you know, the big bonus bump, and then they fell back in, and it's normal practice, nothing special or overexciting. Still having trouble getting myself 100% back. That's supposed to be a 50K. For a 5K here, we're looking at post-market, but if we go back to yesterday, just scroll that back. We started off the morning, you know, wiping out the call option there, get puts excited, wipe them out, and then at the end of the day, more call options jumping through there, and so that was the bonus. But again, it wipes out a lot of that GAM, and as we can see here in post-market, not a whole lot of activity. We've seen really in the last little bit of activity back and forth, but again, it's just range-bound stuff that's slightly ebbing higher. All in all, pretty reasonable, nothing to get too worked up over, and as long as nothing changes on a major geopolitical front, you know, we're in that benign kind of terrified rise. That's sort of the normal practice. That's the long and short of it for now. As always, anything relevant, I'll put on the Skype chat. Have a good one.